Alright, good morning ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So that's a very long intro without saying anything. So today is March the 2nd. We're on a treadmill like I said yesterday. We kinda do the stairs on the weekends and then we do a bit of treadmill before the chest. Now the only bad thing about today is we are definitely borderlining the dream state. That's for sure. Dream state is borderlining between conscious and not conscious. But right now we're able to form quite decent words. However, my hands are reaching a boat. And I'm kind of just doing it because I have a suspicion that, what do you call it, that the dream state will get me. So I'm just going to have a hand on it just in case. It probably encourages it, but it is what it is sometimes. Yeah, we're pretty much close to the dream state and not, but the feeling of the dream state is getting closer every time. I finally could stretch my back. Golden hours only got like less than a handful again, so that's good. But today we're kind of fatigued, so it's hard for us to do any kind of preparing or blind checking. Yeah, there's nothing else to talk about when we're in the dream state and using a bigger one. I think we're probably gonna go straight towards the Smith machine or something. Yeah, we're basically just chilling right now. There's not much to say except push the pedal and miss every single shot. This video is too quiet because we do have a chance of going to the dream state if we don't focus. What is done? Right, what is done? Everything's done. Now we just go stretch. We literally nearly went into the dream state if we stayed for like a bit longer. Someone was benching a lot. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about, but we are waking up slowly. That's a good sign. Slowly. So basically, just this water, and yeah, not really much to talk about. The only problem with these headphones is that, you know, when you let them on the bench, they'll fall off. I mean, yeah, today's pretty much just autopilot, honestly. Pretty much just autopilot. It was really cold as well, because it was like raining last night, something like that. Which means we'll be cuddled up. We will be cuddled up today. No fishing and hunting for a while. Is there anything to talk about? We're on 4.5s. Is there anything else to say? I think after this and then the lower chest, that's all that there is to this place. We don't do chips. Not with it. I'm actually still in the dream state. Why did I say chips and fish and chips? I don't know. In my brain, when I was talking, for some reason, it went towards the species, why plant seeds, and how Chica could use them. What did I just say? Why did I mention Chica? She's literally in cooked earth. She's nowhere near us. Mm, whatever. We're actually on autopilot because the fatigue is not going anywhere right now. So yeah, we just finished the lower chest and then that's kind of it. Is there anything you want to talk about today? I don't know. I think we're slowly waking up. We're slowly waking up. We didn't even say anything. A lot different compared to, the past 2 days where we were non-stop talking. I mean, yeah, that past, this thing's warm. When you finish the water, check the weight, and we continue doing our thing, right? Once we get back home, Alpha Theory Regime, eat, edit Earth logs, and then edit the DGI, which should be pretty fast because nothing really exciting happened. And then, yeah, that's about it. Oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna be definitely heavier today. We ate the rice a lot later during the we ate the rice a lot later during the day, so we're probably gonna be a bit more heavier. Not sure if that's gonna really make sense, but we'll do what we can do, right? The walk was like a blur, chest was a blur, everything was sleepy, and the thought of the dream world constantly lingers. But since we're nearly near the end, the dream state should be fading away now because we've got to drive later on. Alright, let's go check the weight. I think we're going to be like 71 kgs. So today's going to need a story video. Yep. So, there we go, finally. Like I predicted. 70.85. Really, just the autopilot again. Didn't even say anything during the dream state either. So, kind of just, it is what it is, yeah. It's gonna be a story video today. It's actually getting cold as well. The weather's actually getting cold again. Also, last night was like raining and thunderstorm. It's quite nice. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it for today. I'll see you guys later when we do a story video instead. Today was pretty much just autopilot, so yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is, right? Really should just sleep early. It's okay. Anyways, yeah. Also, this rain jacket sucks. It's not even warm. It's actually hella cold. We actually suffer in the winter time a lot. So yeah, that's basically it. Alright, see you guys next time, alright? Appreciate it.
What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. So, I know that this morning was very tiresome, so we're going to be doing story videos. Now, we did the 3 horrific true restaurant stories. Now, I'm pretty sure the first one we did was about a woman traveling alone, right? She got followed, blah, blah, blah. The next one was what? By Alice.
It wasn't somewhere I would have usually gone for, but I needed the money.
Alright, story 3. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go. Let's have a look, shall we? See what's up.
I was 19 and strapped for cash, so I
19 years old. Got it.
temporarily took a second job working as a waitress at a diner.
So, female 19-year-old?
It was open till 3 a.m. on weeknights and 24 hours on the weekends. On the weekends, it was always a bunch of drunk kids at night that would come after they left the bars. During the week, most people that came late night were people working overnight shifts or just getting off from work. I would do the overnight shifts twice a week. Anything more than that, I probably would have passed out from a lack of sleep. I'd be the only server past 10 o'clock on the weekdays because there wasn't an abundance of customers, especially at the later hours of the night. One night, a larger man came in alone, around like 1 a.m. There was only one other customer in the restaurant at the time, I believe. I seated him. He started talking to me in a flirtatious way right away. It was always the older, unattractive ones that would be the most flirty. I had to deal with it with a smile though, as I basically was working on tips. He ordered a burger and a milkshake. Then he told me his name, Trevor. Trevor would keep staring at me from across the diner as I would be sitting doing things on my phone. He was the only customer left at this point now. He called me by my name over to the table. I went over with a smile and he asked for the check. He left after paying, and when I went to collect the tip and clean the table, I noticed along with the $5 tip, he left his number and a winking face on the bill. Gross. I crumpled it up and threw it away. I thought that was the end of Trevor and I's story.
Probably
but
not.
It wasn't. A few nights later, in came Trevor again, super late at night when no one else was in the place. I greeted him and sat him to a table. He actually hit me with a "how's my favorite server doing tonight?" which was odd considering I only served him one time.
It is what it is, right? What can you even do in those scenarios? Because you're gonna have pattern recognition and you're gonna be working there, right? So it's kind of like, when it comes to like restaurants, you kind of have to build a relationship with customers to a degree. But you're a server, I don't know, man. Just, and also plus she's doing it based on tips as well. So like, I guess she actually has to be more talkative and like, because if she wants tips, right? You know that compared to like someone that doesn't need tips, like in New Zealand, there's no such thing as tipping culture. So the waiter would just do the work. That's it, done, right? But I guess in America, you got to talk more, which must suck. I mean, yeah, it is what it is, right? What can you do about that? You really can't do much. Find a different job.
He again started some conversation with me, and I was way too exhausted for this, but I had to put a smile on my face and entertain it. I thought maybe this time he'd give a better tip if I acted interested, but that backfired because he mistook my friendliness as interest and invited me to come on his boat sometime.
Yo, hold on
I
now.
asked what kind of boat it is to play along,
Joking.
and he showed me a picture of this tiny little thing that could barely fit two people
Oh,
based
hell
on
no.
the looks of it. I said, "Oh wow, my dad has a boat too." I should have said boyfriend looking back now, but I was trying to get a good tip out of him. He asked for my number, and I told him I'm not allowed to give customers my number. I could get fired. He actually believed this, but after he left, he once again left his number on the bill, this time with a note saying something along the lines of, "I bet you were just shy last time. Don't be shy this time, you can text me. It'll be our little secret," followed by another winking face. He again only tipped $5. This guy was a creep who didn't even tip well. I hope to not see him again.
He's gonna come back,
But
though.
this wouldn't be a story if I didn't. He came in the next week on another night.
Man, it's not even worth it for the tips, right? It's not even worth it for the tips, is it? Is it really that worth it? If you're trying to do it for tips, you might as well just like, I don't know. Just
Night I was working. It had to be like 2 a.m., and it seemed like he'd always come in right as the place would become empty. Almost like he was sitting in the parking lot, waiting to come when I wouldn't be serving any tables. This time he came in, and the first thing he said was, "You don't call her, right?" But he didn't say it with a smile, he said it with a serious face. I told him I'm really flattered, but I really can't text customers.
man, at this point, you might as well just be like, no, like, but fuck off. Like at this point, you might as well just be like, yeah, no, like reject him, like full on, just reject him, right? Don't try like lean into it or like no, don't like play around for a tip. Just be like no, yeah, like no, none. Instead of like yeah.
He didn't say anything, he just walked out. I was relieved, honestly. I'd rather he just stopped coming in. The next day, while at my other job, I got a text from one of the other waitresses asking if I knew who the fat bald guy was. I said, yeah, he's so creepy. Why? She told me that he asked for my full name. I asked her if she gave it to him, and she said yes. I was honestly really upset, and this made me uncomfortable. She said that he claimed he just wanted the name of the really amazing waitress from last night. Later that day, I got a text. It was from Trevor. He said, hey, it's Trevor, your favorite customer. I know you said you can't give your number out, so I took it upon myself to get it myself. Now you didn't break any rules, haha. I was at a loss for words. I blocked the number and hoped that would be the end of it. But later that week, after I got off from work, I found an envelope tucked under my windshield wiper. I grabbed it and got in my car. Its contents were disturbing. It was a bunch of pictures of me in the diner taken from the parking lot. The pictures got more disturbing though, when they started being of my apartment and of me standing on my front deck or unlocking the front door.
GG.
Most disturbing of all was a picture taken through the front window at night. I drove straight to the police precinct with the photos to report this. These pictures, accompanied with the text I received from him, was damning enough. I stayed at my parents' house that night, and the next day...
Smart. Honestly, smart right there. Stay with your parents instead of going back home. Let me guess. Imagine if you didn't go to her parents' house. She'd go to the police station. She'd give the report in. Trevor probably saw her go to the police station, and if she were to decide to go home by herself, he would follow her from the police station and then like take her. Just saying. Smart. Stay at your parents' home for the night. Smart. Smart. What can they? Very smart, honestly. Who raised her? Good job.
A detective called that Trevor guy and told him if he continued to contact me, it would be considered harassment and he would be arrested. I still quit the job at the restaurant just to be safe. My lease was up the next month, and so I moved to a new apartment. I didn't want to have any chance of that man finding me again. He was the first and only true stalker I've ever dealt with in my life.
Damn. Smart girl at the end. Honestly, smart girl. What can you say about that, right? Good job. If I keep burping, it's because I'm drinking sparkling water. Alright, what else is there to watch? Is there any new ones from Mr. Nightmare real quick? Let's have a look, shall we? 3 days ago, police. 3 days ago. Oh, 3 really scary True Deep Woods horror stories. True Island stories. Okay, that's just Epstein. New home, we did that. Okay, let's do this one. We're gonna do like 1 out of 3 on this one, right? Let's go. Lock it.
PBTech Samsung warehouse sale is on now. See
You know what, PBTech?
pbtech.co.nz.
W PBTech, man.
Get a sweet deal with Sub of the Day.
No,
from
not Subway
Sid.
though. Subway is L. But PBTech though, I'm gonna give. Hey, I wouldn't be here without PBTech. You know what I mean? Like, hey, W PBTech, man. Even though they're not sponsored, but like, most of my takes from them, anyways. All right, let's begin, shall we? Story 1 by Anonymous. Let's go.
This
Have
is
a look.
one of those stories I've been sitting on for a really long time. It happened back when I was maybe 25 or 26, way before I met my wife and way before we had kids.
Okay, 25-year-old male. Got it.
I was a completely different person back then. Not in a bad way, just in the sense that I had the kind of free time and risk tolerance that I genuinely can't relate to anymore. I used to do these solo backpacking trips a few times a year.
Hey,
Usually
solo fishing trips, same thing.
somewhere in the Appalachians. I'd drive out to some remote trailhead, hike deep into the backcountry, way off the trail, and spend a few days completely off the grid. No cell service, no other people, nothing.
Okay, bit
I
risky,
loved it.
but
My friends
Hey,
thought
it's
I
what
was
it is, what it
insane,
is.
and honestly, I kind of was. This particular trip was in the Cherokee National Forest, and it changed how I see backpacking forever. I had been out there for 2 days, and everything had been going perfectly. The weather had been great, the trail was quiet, and I hadn't seen another person since the first morning.
hey, Dubs.
That changed pretty quickly, though.
Oh.
On the afternoon of the second day, I noticed dark storm clouds building up to the west. I wasn't too worried at first. I'd hiked through rain plenty of times, and it was never a big deal. But within about an hour, I realized it wasn't going to be a passing shower. The wind picked up hard, and the temperature dropped fast enough that I actually stopped to put on another layer. By the time the rain started, I was already looking for a spot to hunker down. The problem was that I was in a pretty exposed section of the trail. As I predicted, it wasn't a light rain. It went from windy to full-on downpour in minutes. The wind was bending smaller trees sideways, and I could hear branches cracking and falling in the canopy above me. I started getting genuinely concerned about my safety.
Would be a fire YouTube video. Would be an absolute fire YouTube video. Matter of fact, I haven't even seen a YouTube video in anyone that condition. That'd be pretty fire.
Lightning was striking pretty close by, and I was hiking at elevation with a metal-framed pack on my back. Not ideal.
Yo, straight up Bear
I kept
Grylls.
pushing forward, completely soaked at that point. I was scanning the woods on either side of the trail for anything that could pass as shelter. As if by some miracle, I actually saw a structure through the trees off to my left. It was small and dark and partially hidden by the forest, but it was unmistakably man-made. As I got closer, I realized it was a tiny, one-story cabin. They looked extremely old, like it could have been a hunting cabin or a homesteader's shelter from decades ago. There was a single window on the side I was approaching. I can't overstate how relieved I was.
But someone's probably in it. Someone's probably living in that.
I practically sprinted over to the thing and pushed the door open. Inside, it was dim but dry. There wasn't much in there, just a chair, a small table, and what looked like a cot frame pushed against the far wall. There was a stone fireplace on the right side that was clogged with old ash and debris. The place honestly smelled really bad, but I didn't care about anything other than stripping out of my soaked clothes and laying down. There wasn't a couch or anything in there, so I literally just picked a spot on the floor and lied down.
What?
I was in survival mode at that point, not exploration mode. All I cared about was that I was out of the storm. It wasn't until I'd been inside for maybe 10 or 15 minutes that I started actually looking around. With the storm raging outside, there wasn't much else to do besides flick on a flashlight and snoop, so that's exactly what I did.
You didn't check first?
There was more stuff in that cabin than I had initially realized. For starters, there was a sleeping bag rolled up in the corner near the cot frame. It didn't look ancient like the rest of the place, which confused me.
What? I don't understand. You go inside and get in shelter, and the first thing you do is strip butt naked? What? You didn't even scan the place first? That's crazy.
Also a couple of cans and water jugs on the table, which made me think someone had been using the place as a base camp of sorts. Maybe another backpacker or a hunter. It wasn't unusual to find stuff like that in remote cabins, but the more I looked around, the more things started bothering me. There were marks on the wall near the door. At first I thought they were just damage from age or weather, but when I got closer to inspect them, I could see they were scratches. There were dozens of them, some shallow and some deeper. There was no pattern or order to the marks, at least not one I could see. I stepped back and looked at the door itself. The handle was a simple latch, which wasn't unusual. Despite the storm, I opened the door just to get a look at the mechanism. There was a metal bracket on the outside of the frame, which looked like it was designed to hold a padlock. The bracket was on the outside. There was no corresponding latch on the inside. That meant the door could only be locked from the outside. Things only got stranger. I shut the door and started looking around. The
door can only be locked from the outside? GG, you're in a prison. Not prison, you're in... Yo, that's crazy. Door can only be locked from the outside. That means that if you go inside the building, you can't lock yourself in. There's scratches on the door. Buddy, time to leave. Time to leave. Nope. Time to leave. Ain't no way you're staying in there anymore, right? You're literally in like a dungeon. Or like... Well, how do you even get in? He went through a window or something? No, he went through a different door? No, I don't even know.
Cabin. The only thing I hadn't checked out yet was the window, so I walked over to it. The glass was still perfectly intact, which surprised me given the apparent age of the place. But then I noticed why. There were screws drilled into the window frame, one in each corner securing it shut. Those had also been driven in from outside, and around the edges of the frame on the inside, there were more scratches, deep ones. These were unmistakable. They honestly looked like someone had tried to pry the window open with their bare hands. All of it hit me at once. Someone had been kept in this cabin, trapped, as in kept against their will. I should have left right then, and I did consider that, but there was a good part of me that felt like whatever had gone on in that cabin was well in the past. Everything in the cabin looked really old. Even the sleeping bag, which did look on the newer side, admittedly, was rigid and dusty. Plus, the last thing I wanted to do was go back out in that storm again, so I stayed. I'm not sure how much time passed, maybe an hour, maybe more. The storm wasn't letting up at all. If anything, it had gotten worse. The rain on the roof was so loud that it was hard to hear much of anything else. That's probably why it took me so long to notice the other sound. I picked up on the scratching or scraping noises from outside, somewhere along the left wall of the cabin. At first, I thought it was a branch, but I couldn't remember if there had been branches low enough to even touch the exterior of the cabin. As I was thinking about it, I heard two heavy thumps on the porch.
GG.
They honestly didn't sound like storm sounds. This time I stood up. I did that thing where you freeze in place and try to focus by staring at a random spot on the wall. I was trying to listen. but if someone was moving out there, it would have been impossible to hear over the storm. I started getting paranoid that those sounds I heard were just a few of many, and that the rest had been drowned out by the rain. My eyes drifted over to the window. I couldn't bring myself to look through it. If someone really was out there, they'd probably be looking through it. I stayed in that position for what felt like forever. After a while, I started to relax a bit, thinking I had just been hearing the storm, or at the very worst, an animal poking around the cabin. I was almost ready to forget about everything when I heard something that sent me over the edge.
A lock.
Pressure on the door,
What?
like someone was leaning their full weight against it from the other side.
GG.
The wood creaked and the latch rattled once before the pressure released. My heart rate instantly shot back
They locked
up,
themselves.
and that's when something clicked.
GG's locked in.
Why would someone be outside in a storm like this,
Yo, it's
circling
trapped.
the cabin, tapping on the walls, without just coming in?
He's
The door
trapped.
wasn't locked. Nothing was stopping them. And then I thought about what I'd found inside the cabin, and it occurred to me that maybe whoever was out there didn't want to come inside. Maybe they wanted me to stay inside.
GG.
Maybe the whole point was to keep me in there.
Oh,
I don't know if that was the right conclusion or if my mind was just spiraling.
He's cooked.
But I decided I was leaving right then. I didn't care about the storm. I started moving things into my backpack as fast as I could. I had this sickening feeling that something really bad was about to happen. And I was right. The next few moments were a blur. I was maybe 30 seconds from walking out the door when I heard the sound of glass shattering behind me.
Yo, what?
I spun around just in time to see something come through the window, and that was all I could see before the whole room erupted in flames.
What?
The flames spread so fast that I couldn't even process what was happening. 1 second I was standing in a dark room, and the next second the walls were on fire.
Yo, someone threw a Molotov in there? What?
The heat hit me like a physical wall, and the door wouldn't budge. It was jammed from the outside. I slammed into it with all my might, and it gave. It collapsed off its hinges, and me with it. I scrambled to get back on my feet, and I just ran. I couldn't even see. I was just running wildly through the woods and rain, trying to put as much distance between myself and that cabin. But before I could get a safe distance away, I felt something tackle me from behind.
Yo,
I was
that's
back
actually
on the
crazy.
ground. There was a person on top of me, and suddenly I was fighting for my life.
What?
I clawed and kicked and screamed, but this guy wouldn't get off me. He was yelling too, and he kept trying to get me in a chokehold.
Yo, what?
He was gouging at my eyes and pulling my hair, and I started to feel dizzy, but I managed to push him off. I got back up and kept running, and whoever had just tried to kill me was screaming like a maniac. I looked back twice. I couldn't see my attacker, but I did see the cabin, which was fully engulfed in flames. I think the picture of that fireball is burned into my brain forever. The second time I looked back, the glow was smaller but still visible through the woods, but I just kept running. For all I knew, I was being chased. I didn't stop until my legs gave out. I found a spot where a couple of large trees had fallen against each other, and there was a narrow gap underneath that blocked most of the rain. I crawled under there and just collapsed. I couldn't feel my body. I don't know if it was the fire, the rain, or the attack. Maybe all three, but I was completely numb. All I did was sit in that crouched position and try to keep breathing. I don't know how many hours passed under those trees, but time lost all meaning.
Bro, I would've just kept running.
Eventually, I felt some feelings start to re-enter my body, and I told myself it was move or die.
Yeah.
Whoever
what?
was out there was probably looking for me, and he couldn't have been that far away.
Yeah, I
So I
would've
got
just-
up and started moving
I
through
would've
the
just kept
woods.
going.
I didn't know where the trail was, but I didn't really care. I honestly can't tell you how I survived that night, but I did. I stumbled onto a random trail and just followed it. I was soaked and probably bleeding from multiple places, but I just kept trudging on. Eventually, the rain subsided a bit, at least enough for me to figure out where I was. I made it to some random trailhead. By that point, the storm had passed. I don't remember too much after that. All I remember is that the first person I saw drove me to a hospital. I had second-degree burns on my left forearm and the back of my neck, and doctors told me I was lucky I hadn't inhaled more smoke than I did. None of it was permanent, but it hurt like hell for a long time afterwards. By the time I was healed and safe at home, I told myself I would never camp or hike alone again. Someone had intentionally set that cabin on fire to kill me. That's the only thing that makes any sense. It was pouring rain, a full-blown thunderstorm, and the roof was metal. There's no way a wooden structure goes up like that fast unless the wood had been treated with something beforehand. I gave the police everything, or as much as I could, but I could tell they weren't really going to do anything. And to be fair, I wasn't in a charted part of the woods. so it would have been silly to hound them. The only thing I don't understand is the timing of everything. My wife would probably tell you I stopped doing solo trips because I grew up and got more responsible, and she's not entirely wrong, but I honestly never told her about this incident, and I know I'll never go backcountry trekking again alone.
Yo, that's a good story. I mean, what? That's crazy. How would you even... That scenario just seems like... I mean, didn't I say that in the past? The most dangerous thing is another human. So, as example is that, you know, when I say like bears are dangerous, right? If you see like a bear den, yeah, stay away from there, right? If you see a human den, that's something you probably want to stay away from too. Because humans are more dangerous than any other animal, right? So, therefore, when you see some kind of man-made human thing, you don't know who owns that. You, like, what? Yeah. So the room burst into flames, right? So either... Must have been a Molotov, right? Because, yeah, the only explanation is like a Molotov style thing that was thrown into the window before it erupted in flames. There was no way that the wood would be pre-treated because you would smell it. That room was definitely like a dungeon for someone. That crazy man probably was trying to get some dinner. You know what I mean? He probably just trying to get some dinner, right? Probably a cannibal or crazy man, right? Yeah. Right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it. That was a short story, but hey, that was good. That was 1 out of 3. We'll continue the rest next time, right? But yeah, that first story, I would have no idea how you would actually... How would you even survive? Like, I guess probably, even if it was a storm, probably just like continue hiking back home, right? Or like hike until you get some signal or something. Even though you're like pouring down in the wet. It's better than... Yeah, I mean... It is what it is. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it. Alright, today we're not gonna do a stream today, but today we're going to maybe see if we can hit gold in Overwatch. I don't know why, I just feel like some Overwatch, right? Alright, see you guys next time, right? Bye-bye.